Hello and good day. So for today, we'll be continuing our discussion for systems administration and maintenance, specifically with our topic on Linux applications. So before the global pandemic happened, we were already done with the first portion or first part of our discussion, which was about the Linux environment. We actually had a brief overview already of some of the more common Linux applications that we have used or we can use in the that we can use in as a replacement for the applications we use in Microsoft Windows. So one of the more common applications or software that we need is a text-based editor. So normally in Windows we use our Notepad or Notepad Plus. For Linux, it's important that we have your text-based editor as well because most of the configuration files and documentations and manuals for software are actually text-based. So there are many available text editors, but the native text editor available upon installation for Fedora would be VI. So VI, as mentioned, is a native editor found in all Linux and Unix systems. So that means if you know how to use VI on one Linux system, you'll be able to know how to use it in all other systems as well. But there are other more more flexible text editors such as Emacs, Nano, and gedit. But for now, because as mentioned several times already, as future systems administrators, you might need to get used to using the terminal, and VI is terminal based or CMD or command based. Now, if we were going to use VI or the VI editor, you have to remember that there are actually three specific modes used in VI editor. So unlike with Notepad, that when you open up Notepad, you just type what you need to type in. When you open it, you view it using our GUI. Remember that VI is open using the terminal. So when we use VI, we have the command mode, which is the initial mode VI starts in. We have the insert mode and the replace mode. The command mode is used to enter commands because because of the absence of the graphical user interface, you won't see any ribbons, you won't see any icons, you won't see any buttons. So what you have to do is use key presses in order to input commands. Then you have to shift to the insert mode in order for you to be able to type in or put in your characters and symbols. And the other one is the replace mode. In the insert mode, anything you type will just get inserted and it will just offset all other letters, especially if you type in between words or even in between sentences. In the replace command, which is just sort of like the insert in Windows-based applications, anything you type will will overwrite any texts that was already written or wherever the cursor is. But more or less, you'll be using either the command mode or the insert mode. So in order for us to start VI, we need to be able to get to the terminal. I'm assuming, of course, because of our multiple laboratory exercises, that you already know how to get to the terminal. So right now, I am already at the terminal. I'm using Fedora 32 running on Oracle VirtualBox, just like what we used to do in our laboratory sessions. But I think we were using Fedora 29. Now remember that Fedora gets a new version every 6 months. So then don't get surprised that we were still using Fedora 29 while I'm using Fedora 32. Just installed this a week ago. So as mentioned, we're already at our localhost directory. Let me just take a look at the contents of our directory here, the localhost. So we'll be able to see all the default directories available. So let's say we want to create a text file. So if we want to create a text file, we actually type in VI, then the name of the text file that we want to create or we want to open. What would happen if we just type in VI? Type in VI, it would show us the title screen or the front page for VI M, which is VI Improve. In this case, it's already at version 8.2.525. Okay? And right now, it's in command mode. So if I type anything, it won't actually do any insertions. Now, why did FJ appear? Because I pressed I, or accidentally pressed I. Because in order to shift from command to insert mode, we actually press I. If we want to go back from insert mode to command mode, we press escape, or the ESC key. So right now, if I type in, these are all commands. Okay? If I press I, an insert word will, or insert command is shown at the bottom. That means we can already type several lines. So getting to the next line is just like what we do with our common word applications or common text application. We just press enter. If we want to delete, we use backspace. If we want to move our cursor while in insert mode, we use our directional keys. So the up, down, left, and right. But because I used VI, this doesn't have any file name yet. Now, if you want to create a file and give it a file name already, we use a different approach. We use VI space and then the name that we want to give the file. Now, we have to quit the file, quit VI first. So in order to do that, we have to go back to our command mode. So command mode, in order to go to the command mode, we have to press ESC. Okay. Now that means I'm in the command mode. As you will notice, the insert here is gone. That means I'm in the command mode. Then, in order to quit or to exit, we press colon, Q. Then press enter. Oops, I'm not in the screen. Sorry about that. So colon and Q. So that would appear at the bottom. So anything you press that starts with colon would actually appear at the bottom. So colon Q would actually exit the VI. Now, there was an error message usually found at the bottom. So because that didn't allow me to quit, because it's asking me if I want to overwrite the existing file. If I use /q, that means I can override and not save the files. So it's just like with MS Word, when you try to escape without saving, if it does not have the autosave function, it would ask you if you want to save or not, and would not allow you to exit immediately. So in order to quit without saving, so colon Q, then exclamation point. That would return me to my initial directory at the terminal. So what if I want to create the file I was mentioning? So I type in VI, then the name of the file. So I type in sample1.txt. So that means I'm opening up VIM and creating a text file named sample1. So when I press enter, it would not show the title screen but go directly to the text editor. At the bottom, it is giving you a confirmation message that sample1.txt has been created. So right now, again, when I first create a file, when I first open it up, it's in the command mode. So I have to go to the insert mode by pressing I. And there you will see that it's in insert mode. Then we can type our lines here. So tab works, space bars work. So let's just some few lines here. Oops, that's supposed to be line 3. And let's try to explain some of the commands used in VI. So let's take a look at our handouts in page 2 that shows first set of cursor movement commands. As mentioned, when we are in the insert mode, we could use the arrow keys to move our cursor. But if we are in command mode, So in order to go to command mode from the insert mode, we press escape. We could still use our directional keys, but aside from that, we could also press L, H, J, and K as a replacement for right, left, down, and up. So if I press L, it would go to the right. If I press H, it will go to the left. If I press J, it would go down. If I press K, it would go up. Again, these keys or these movement keys are used in the command mode and not in the insert mode. So if I want to go to the beginning of the line, so for example, if I'm in line 4, the mouse doesn't work because this is the terminal. So if I'm in line 4, I want to go here at this is the beginning of the line. I press 0. Okay. Now, why didn't it go here? Because in order to create this, I actually inserted an indentation. I put in tab. So that means the beginning of the line, instead of here, is actually found here. In line 2, here, I actually put in spacebar. So if I press 0, it would go to the beginning of the line. Let's go to line 3. I press 0, it will go to L. But if I put in tab, I'm not in insert mode. I have to go to insert mode. If I press tab, if I press 0, it would go to the beginning of the tab, not all the way to the first line. Okay. So let's go back to insert mode and delete the tabs. Now next we could press this. This is found in shift number 6. So this is like almost 0 going to the beginning of the current line, but instead of going to the beginning of the line, it would go to the first non-white space character in the current line. So let's show you the difference. We'll go back to, I'm in insert mode. Oops, I press escape, go back to command. If I'm here in line 2, if I press 0, it goes to the beginning of the line. What if I press shift 6? If I press shift 6, it goes back to the first non-space character. So it would go to letter L. Because the first two characters here are space, it would go back using the shift 6, it would go to the letter L, which is the first non-line. Again, let's go to line 4. If I press 0, it will go to the first part of the line. If I press shift 6, it would go to the first letter. Next, we have the dollar sign. The dollar sign is used to go to the end of the current line. So this is the opposite of 0. So if we go back to the first line, by the way, we could use both 0 and the home key to go to the first character on the line. If we want to go to the last character, we could use the dollar sign, which is shift 4. Or we could press N, the N key, just found directly below the home key. So home and N would work. 0 and dollar sign would work as well. Next, we have small w and big W or capital W. Small w goes to the beginning of the next word or punctuation character. Big W goes to the beginning of the next word, ignoring punctuation character. So the main difference is that it would ignore, in the capital W, it would ignore the period, question mark, and all other punctuation characters. But with small w or lowercase w, it would include it as the beginning of the next word. So for example, I am here. If I press W, it goes to L. If I press W again, it would go to number 4. So it goes to the first line of the next word. Let's try putting a punctuation mark here. Right, a period. Oops. Again, I have to be in the insert mode. I always forget this. Insert mode, we press I. So I press period here. I go back to command mode. So if I press W, L, dot 4. But if I press uppercase W, it goes to L, then 4. Did you see it? It ignored the period when you use the uppercase W. Next, if we have multiple pages on the text file, we could use page down or page up to be able to scroll up and scroll down by page, or we could use Control F and Control B. Again, while in the command mode. So for example, I can go page up and page down. So if I put page up, page down, it goes a page up, and then when I press page down, it shows the last line, which is line 5. If I've had multiple lines here, it would actually go to the lowest portion as well. Besides using page down or page up, I could use Control F and Control B to use page up and page down. It is also possible to go directly to a specific line using the command number G. The number represents the number of the line that you want to go, and then uppercase G. So if I want to go to the first line, I type in 1G or 1 capital G while in command mode. So right now I'm in line 4. I'm in command mode. I type in 1 capital G. It goes to the first line. If I want to go to the fifth line, that would be 5 capital G. The second line, that's 2 capital G. If I just type in capital G, it would go to the last line of the file. So if the file is long, or the text file is long, instead of pressing page down or holding page down, I could just press G. So right now, I'm in line 2. If I press uppercase G, it would go directly to line 5 because that is the last line. So those are the most common cursor movement commands found in VIM. Next, we could insert blank lines above or below an existing lines. Okay? Now, if we want to insert line above or below, we either use small o or lowercase o to insert a space below the current line. If we want to put in a space above, we use the uppercase O. So let's try that out. I'm in line 3. I want to insert a space below. I have to be in the command insert line first. So when I press O, it puts a space below the line 3, and it automatically puts me in insert mode. If I want to put in a space above the line, I have to go back to command mode, press escape, go back to line 3, and instead of pressing lowercase o, I press uppercase O, that would be shift O. It inserts a line above line 3 and automatically puts me in the insert mode. Now, if I am in the command mode, again, I press escape. I'm in line 1. I want to start typing at the end. Well, I could use capital G and then start typing. Or I could use the cursor commands and then start typing. But I could also use uppercase A. If I press uppercase A, it would actually go to the last part of the current line before starting the insert mode. Next, we could use a number of deletion commands. Well, we could use backspace to delete. Just make sure we are in insert mode. But how do we delete multiple lines or multiple words? So we use multiple commands for that. So again, we have to be in the command mode. Okay. Let me just get rid of this. I have to go back to command mode by pressing escape. Oops, I'm not in the active window. So press escape. So if I press backspace here, it would actually do nothing. It would just go back. So if I want to delete this letter I press X. So I'm pressing X right now. to delete letter. If I put in 3x, it would delete the current character and the next two characters. So that means I'm deleting three words at once, or three letters at once, starting from the first letter. So 3x. Okay. Okay. I could actually put in any numbers I want. Let's say I want to erase 4 letters, so 4x. So it would delete all the lines. If I want to delete 8 characters, I'd put in 8x. Okay. So it deleted all the spaces and the first letter L because it's the first line. Let me just go back to insert mode and retype everything for our examples. 3, line 2. Let's name this line 2.1. Let's name this as line 2.2. And let's name this as line 1. Okay. We could delete per word. So we use DW. So if I want to delete just this word line here, so I have to be in the command mode. So put in D capital W. So just delete the whole word line. So if you have multiple words, just click DW. $D is if you want to delete everything from where the cursor is to the end of the current line. So let's say I want to delete the letter N up to the number 4. So I put in $. So let's say I want to delete E up to the number 5. Put in $. Okay. I want to delete I, and then up to number 2 I want to delete it. I just want L to remain. $. Now we could also do it in reverse. We use D0. If we want to delete from the letter up to the first letter of the beginning of the word. So for example, I'm here at number 2. I want to delete everything except point 2. So we put in D0. So it would only show us 2.2. And everything else before that was deleted. If we want to delete only to the first non-white space, we use D shift 6, which is similar to this one. When we go back to the first line. If we want to delete multiple lines, starting from the first line up to the last line, we use D G. So D G. So everything was deleted from the start of the cursor up to the last line of the file. Using D20G, or D and a number then G, deletes everything from the current line up to the number of the line that you were mentioning. So if you want to delete up to the 5th line from where we are, we use D5G. In this case, D20G means deleting everything from where my cursor is up to the 20th line. We could also use pasting commands. So if you want to copy the current line, we press YY. Okay. Okay. So let me just go back here. Insert command. So let's just type in the lines. Anyway, more or less, the commands here are almost similar to the ones we delete with D. D is for deletion, Y is for pasting. Okay. So YY copies the current line. 5YY copies the current line and the next 4 lines. That means the first 5 lines. So you can change this number to anything you want to copy multiple lines as well. If you want to copy from the current cursor position to the beginning of the next word, we use YW. as W is a command for word. Dollar sign has been used in deletion, and cursor commands, which asks us to go to the end of the current line. So we could expect this is copying from our cursor to the end of the current line. Y0 is copying from the cursor to the beginning of the line because it uses 0. And the shift 6 copies to the first non-white space. If you want to copy up to the end of the file, we use capital G, which was also used here in deletion and also here in cursor movement. So a combination of those, if you can remember what to do, actually you can see from the previous instructions. So if you want to copy from the current line after the 20th line of the file, Y20G. If you want to copy six lines, you put in Y6G, so on and so forth. Okay, anyway, I hope that has been a great help for you guys with regard to your laboratory exercises or your understanding of VI. There are tons of instructions or commands available for VI, but we just covered basic commands for now, like movement, deletion, and copying and pasting. The second part of my discussion would focus on the different productivity software that we could use as a replacement for the productivity software that we are used to using in Windows. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to put in a comment or message me for some clarifications. If you can find any errors, don't hesitate to also correct me for the benefit of those who are viewing. Thank you very much and stay safe.